Okay.
All right, so hi, welcome to this FLQL game. My name is Abhinav and we have Venkataraghavan Sahasranaman. I'll refer to you as Venkat through the game on seat 1, Varun Rajiv on seat 2, Raghuveer Mukkamalla on seat 3, and Rajiv Rai on seat 4. So without further ado, let's begin. Venkat, your first question coming up. The book Blank Blank by Raphael Honigstein has the self-explanatory subtitle How German Football Reinvented Itself and Conquered the World. What punny name inspired from the world of films is given to the book? It's apt because of the country that forms the subject and the theme of the book. Ten seconds.
Total Recall.
Not Total Recall, Varun. Will pass you. Raghuveer.
It's Das Boot.
Not Das Boot, Rajiv.
Okay, pass. Shit, that was the answer.
Yeah, Rajiv clapped a little too soon. Although you are there, Raghuveer, the movie that inspired it is Das Boot. This is called Das Reboot, right? It's a reinvention of.
Oh, the word reinvention was there. Is it?
Are you sure? Because I need to look this up because I read the book actually. Don't remember seeing Reboot.
And it's called Das Reboot. It's the Peterson movie, of course, is Das Boot, but Das Reboot is the book.
Hey, before you ask the next question, can you do F11, please? Okay.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Venkat, your next question. 11 of the Booker Prize winners have titles that are in the form X of Y, like The Line of Beauty by Hollinghurst or Arundhati Roy's got Small Things. So which William Golding book won the 1980 Booker, centering around events that happened during the crossing of the equator on a sea voyage from England to Australia? The title comes from an X of Y term introduced by ethnographer Arnold van Gennep. You can see that representation as something that can have three phases: separation, liminality, and incorporation. Before you answer, I'll tell you, don't go by an X of Y. It's an because there's an X. It doesn't necessarily become.
The Lord of the Flies.
Not the Lord of the Flies. That was in 54, long before the Booker was a concept. Varun?
Pass.
Rajiv?
Can you scroll down?
I'll pass you.
Pass.
And Raghuveer?
Pass.
Hong Kong?
Okay. Go ahead.
Rites of passage or
Rite of Passage is absolutely correct. William Golding's 1980.
The only reason I
called
didn't answer
Rites
because
of
the word
Passage.
right was there in the visual. I thought you would put it
So
in
right
the
of separation, right of incorporation, so rite of passage. That is, so it was literally a passage. Nice book. Do read it. I have it with me if you want to borrow it. Okay, Varun. For the first time since 1986, the top three podium finishes at the 3,000 meter steeplechase event at the Commonwealth Games did not go to athletes from which country? This 36-year-old streak was ended courtesy India's Avinash Sable, who earns silver, sandwiched between Abraham Kibiwov and Amos Seren of that country.
Kenya.
Kenya is correct, of course. And your next question. A certain tricarboxylic acid cycle is used by organisms that respire to generate energy. What other name by which it is commonly known comes from the name of the scientist who identified it in 1937, along with William Arthur Johnson? The former received the Nobel Prize for Physiology for this discovery in 1953.
Krebs cycle.
Krebs cycle is correct. Hans Krebs being the scientist. Well done. 2-on-2. Raghuveer. The Corinthia Hotel is decked in white and blue colors to pay tribute to the meeting of the two tributaries of the Nile. In which major African city on the river's route would you find this building that provides a great view of the confluence? The city's name suggests an etymology that references this confluence, and a famous movie equine bears the same name.
Khartoum.
Khartoum is correct. Sorry. Khartoum is correct. Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh no, it's Godfather. Actually.
Godfather, yeah.
Godfather, I'm sorry, Godfather, the horse. Yeah. Seen here is self-portrait with skeleton arm by which artist created in 1895. He is known for his dark and dreary expressionist depictions And the self-portrait is not an exception. His depiction of himself is, however, much less agitated than the main figure in his most recognizable.
Monk.
Edvard Munch is correct. This is when he is not screaming. Done. Rajiv, your questions. What name referencing another creature is given to these beetles of the genus Dynastiinae? Their common name comes from their characteristic horns borne only by the males. They have a horn on the head and another horn pointing forward from the center of the thorax, which they use for fighting and digging.
Rhinoceros.
I'll prompt you on that. It's a two-word name. Let me put it that way. This entire quad is two-word names. So think again. Two-word name. Give
Okay.
you 5 more seconds.
No, I haven't taken my time, right?
That's why I said 5 more seconds.
Okay, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
The bicornis, a bicorn rhino.
Not really. Venkat?
Black rhinoceros.
No. Varun?
Rhinoceros beetle?
That's all we needed. This is the
Oh.
rhinoceros
You've
beetle.
already said beetle, yeah.
You already said beetle. You already said
I think
beetle.
Abhinav, you should give it to him because beetle is there in the question. So
I was also going with by beetle is given. So what are the two words? in
What
black
is given to
rhinoceros?
these
What is
beetles?
given?
Yeah, come on.
Okay, I think that's fair. Let's
because
be
it's there in
fair.
the question.
Like I said, I would be kind. So I guess
Yeah, please rewind, kind and rewind.
I will
Yeah,
be kind and
I thought the
rewind.
beetle was obvious. Yeah, that's
Fair
what like
enough.
which way I was going with black rhinoceros and whatnot.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but why didn't I say rhino beetle? This is the third question I'm goofing up today. Only 5 questions. Shit.
Yeah.
We will be kind and rewind. So Rajiv gets that. Rhino beetle is fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Go back to F11. Do an F11, you don't get to see that undo. All right. Back to you, Rajiv, for your next question. Saved by the beetle, not the bell. What punny name did Tim Moore give to his sports book where he covers the world's most watched cycling competition? It was an apt name considering the event in question, the late 18th century political history of the country of the event, and the way the main implements in a cycle moves. Ten seconds. Need an answer? I'll pass you,
Revolution
Rajiv.
de France.
Say that again.
Revolution de France.
Venkat.
Tour the French Revolution.
Okay, like I said, I would be kind. Since you had French Revolution in your answer, I'll give it to you. It's simply called the French Revolution, right? I mean, it's
okay.
France and, the way the main implements in a cycle move and all
It
that. which is
it is funny name, so I just thought it had to have both. Yeah,
So
French Revolution
is
is like,
fine. Be happy. Okay, Venkat, your question, round 2. Known for his designs like the Bumster jeans or the Armadillo shoes, who is this British fashion designer who served as the chief designer for Givenchy before starting his own fashion label? Known as the enfant terrible of British fashion, he designed the dress that Janet Jackson wore at the infamous Super Bowl 38 halftime show. It's him. Love you, Kate.
Steve McQueen.
Not Steve McQueen, Varun.
Alexander McQueen.
Oh dear. The actor
Oh
and
shit,
the
Steve
designer.
McQueen is the director. Oh damn, I keep getting confused between
Alexander
the McQueen. Man.
McQueen.
Just say
There is-
McQueen, no.
Yeah, I should have just said
You said
McQueen.
McQueen would have got
man.
points. Oh dear.
Fuck. Alexander McQueen.
Trouble with 10:30 p.m. matches. I tell you.
Yeah.
Venkat, your next question. Pipli embroidery is a colorful art that is named after a town in eastern India and is a form of applique. At which festival associated with a trio of siblings is one likely to come across the biggest examples of this art? Full image.
The Jagannath Puri thingy.
Jagannath Puri thingy. You want to say some more?
Jagannath
And
festival.
now you're testing my kindness, Ingit.
No, I mean, what is the that whole chariot thingy? Chariot festival.
Take
Finally.
it and go.
Finally.
Not the yatra, but you said chariot, so like I said.
Trust me. Give me a break.
Look, I know you know,
Don't be
but
so fucking
okay, Varun. All right, another X of Y titled Booker Prize winner was the 1989 winner. Which novel, filmed by James Ivory to great acclaim in 1993, are we talking about? In a 2008 interview, the author stated that despite the serious tone of the book, Jeeves was a big influence, while Salman Rushdie described it as a book where death, change, pain, and evil invade the innocent.
Remains of the Day.
Remains of the Day by Sir Kazuo Ishiguro is correct. 1989 winner, made into a film with Anthony Hopkins and Tom Selleck. Yeah. All right, Varun. Written by Robert William Cole, the science fiction novel The Struggle for Empire, a story of the year blank, is considered one of the first space operas. It is credited with being the first novel to introduce the concept of galactic empires and interstellar travel. In which year is the novel set? If you add a decimal after the first digit of the year, you get the principal square root of 5 rounded to 3 decimal places. Go ahead and do that now.
I don't know. 3000.
3000, Rajiv? I'll pass you.
Pass.
Raghuveer?
Not sure about one digit. Pass.
Yeah, same here.
Venkat?
2666.
No, that's a different book by Roberto Bolaño. Although you got the first and the last digits right, it is 2.
The second has to be 2, no? 2.2. After that, I didn't know.
2236. 2236 is the year. And
Any
Raghuveer,
negative points to
End up.
Varun for giving a very wrong answer? No.
minus 1.
all right. For this bridge to be constructed, an estimated 469 buildings on either side had to be demolished to create its foundations, foreshadowing the annual fireworks it's known for. Due to its arch-based design, what object found in a wardrobe came to be used as a nickname for the bridge? This object is a symbol of illegal self-induced abortion. Okay? We don't want the bridge's name, just figure out what object that looks like.
Hanger.
Yeah, that's all. Coat hanger was the answer, but hanger is fine.
Yeah.
Raghuveer, your next question. In the 90s, the hip-hop scene was rooted in a rivalry between artists from the East Coast and West Coast of the US, comprising many diss tracks. It's like what happens between the two leading quiz leagues in India. The focal points on either side were East Coast rapper Tupac and which rapper from the West Coast. A rivalry that culminated in the murders of both artists only a few months apart. It all began when the rapper in question released the song Who Shot Ya? By Tupac.
Notorious B.I.G.
Notorious B.I.G. is correct. Biggie.
But by the way, DG, it's appropriate you say dissing and all that in this question because it's factually incorrect. Tupac is from the West Coast, and
Yeah. That's what threw me off, but it had to be that other one. So
Nice. Okay, good one. This will be recorded. So, but yeah, like I said, hip hop. So, search me. All right, Rajiv. Which ethno-linguistic group, the largest in the country, was referred to by early Spanish colonists as the Pintados, or the Painted Ones, due to their widespread practice of tattooing to record battle exploits? This group was once erroneously thought to have derived its name from a Southeast Asian empire, but in fact are named after one of the 3 principal geographical divisions of the Philippines. Take a look. Ten seconds.
Luzon.
Not Luzon. Varun?
us.
Raghuveer?
pass.
Venkat?
Pass.
Okay, Luzon is one of the three main administrative
Is it
divisions. The other two,
Visayas?
the other two are
Visayas.
Mindanao and Visayas.
Yeah.
And these are the Visayans. And the Visayan allegedly originates from Vijaya. But yeah, Visayas is one of the three principal geographical divisions. Your next one, Rajiv. Premiering in Stockholm in 1978, La Grande Macabre is the only opera by which Hungarian composer, best known outside the classical music sphere for his works being used in Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, The Shining, and Eyes Wide Shut. Famously, after Kubrick's death, he was seen escorting Kubrick's widow at one of the premieres of Eyes Wide Shut, which Hungarian composer.
I'll go with Bela Bartok.
Bela Bartok died in 45 when Kubrick was just considering making movies. Varun?
Us.
Raghuveer?
It's killing me, but I'll pass.
Venkat?
Pass.
Okay, past everyone. This is Georgi Ligeti. Composer.
I knew it. I wasn't
quite a bit
100%.
to Kubrick's movies. Aram Khachaturian was the other composer who finished in 2001. Armenian. Okay, round 3, Venkat. What name referencing another creature is given to these animals of the family Macroscelidae? They get their common name due to the long noses which resemble that of another animal. Again, 2 word. The second word is the generic name of this animal, and the first word is what all of this is about.
Scaly anteater.
Not the scaly anteater, although yeah, we're looking for something like that. Rajiv?
I'll pass.
Varun?
Elephant shrew.
Elephant shrew is absolutely correct. Elephant shrew. Well done, Varun. Venkat, your next question. The only collaboration between two of the greatest cinematic exports from a certain country and having the same surname, which 1978 film tells the story of a celebrated classical pianist in the twilight of a career and a neglected daughter who meet for the first time in years. The film would be remade 15 years later as Unishe April in Bangla by Rituparna.
I know this, here. Fuck.
I'm loving the language here. This will be recorded.
I'm sorry, but I. Damn.
It's okay. That's what we like. Or maybe not.
Shit. Madam Suzatska.
Adam Suzatska, no? Rajiv?
Autumn Sonata.
Autumn Sonata. That's correct. Autumn Sonata or Host Sonata. That's Ingmar and Ingrid Bergman are the two people, and that's Liv Ullmann along with Ingrid Bergman. Only time the two collaborated. Varun, seen here is Self-Portrait in Profile, 57, by which artist? The piece conveys the French artist's avant-garde approach to creating just one in a series of 137 pieces. This silhouetted depiction is composed of torn paper pasted on velvet-covered paperboard. The text reads, Hang does the name of the artist, Deshi Harvey, or same person told this quickly.
Dusha?
Marcel Duchamp is correct. I think this inspired one of the Bob Dylan album covers as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Varun, your next one. Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. followed his father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr.'s footsteps in June 2022 to become the second member of his family to become the president of the Philippines. However, in his country, Marcos Jr. goes with the nickname BBM. If M stands for Marcos, what reduplicating nickname does BB stand for?
Bong Bong.
It's appropriately asked by me. Bong Bong is correct. Raghuveer, your question. If one disregards his ambitious but unfinished Sardanapal, then Don Sanche, composed at age 13, is the only complete opera by which Menick composer. The opera premiered in Paris in 1825, and he would soon move there from a different country and write the first of his symphonic poems, What One Hears on the Mountain, inspired by Victor Hugo's poem of the same name.
Beethoven.
Not Beethoven. Rajiv?
Pass.
Venkat?
Liszt.
Franz Liszt
Listomania.
is correct. Listomania, absolutely. Franz Liszt, Hungarian, moved to Paris from different country, which is Hungary. Well done, Venkat. Franz Liszt. Raghuveer, your next question. This form of metallic embroidery was brought from Persia to India by the Mughals and was patronized by them, and is named after a noble metal used in the craft. Usually made using RE needles, what is this highly embellished and expensive form of embroidery called? A slightly exact answer, because another game I've read people were orbiting around.
Filigree.
Not filigree, Rajiv.
Zardozi.
Zardozi is correct. Perfect answer there. Okay, Rajiv, your question. On the upper reaches of the White Nile, the river splits into two paths. To the east, it forks through Damietta, while to the west, it goes through which city, together forming the Nile Delta? This fourth city, around 65 kilometers east of Alexandria, has both an Arabic and an English name, although we're more familiar with the latter thanks to a 1799 discovery that's now the British Museum's most visited exhibit.
I can give you the name, right? Rashid or Rosetta.
Rashid or Rosetta is absolutely correct, but you get only 1 point and not 2. The next question. In which year did Khizr Khan, Taimur's governor in Multan, take over the Delhi Sultanate from Daulan Khan Lodi to found the Sayyid dynasty? If you add a decimal after the first digit in the year, you get the first number known to be irrational, which also happens to be the principal square root of 2.
So 1414.
What a brilliant answer.
Yeah, brilliant
Rajiv.
answer. So equal to 1.414 is well known.
No, but then Rajiv got it from the fact that he was around in 1414 when this happened, which is why it's a brilliant answer. And now on to you. The aim of this insurgent group that has been waging war against the government since 1949 is to create an independent homeland called Kauthulei. Which insurgent or and ethno-linguistic group is this? They play a major role in the 2008 Rambo reboot that takes place during the Saffron Revolution, and the name is shared with a pejorative name associated with uptight white women.
Damn.
10 seconds. Didn't answer again.
Pashtun.
Not Pashtun. Passes to Raghuveer.
Rohingya.
Not Rohingya either. Okay, Varun.
Karens.
That is correct. Absolutely. This is the Karens, pronounced exactly like that. And of course, you know who or what a Karen is, and don't need to speak to any managers here. And Venkat, your next question. The co-recipient of 1996 Nobel Peace Prize, Jose Ramos Horta, became president for a second time in which Asian island country? In his first stint as president, his PM was Zanana Gusmao, who interestingly got his first name from the American band Sha-Na-Na, who in turn were named after a lyric from the 1957 song Get a Job by the Silhouettes. Tim?
East Timor.
East Timor is correct. Jose Ramos Horta and Carlos Bello were the 1996 co-winners of the Nobel Peace Prize. Varun, frustrated at record label's preference for Compton-based rappers, Tim Dog released Compton in 1992. That elicited a response from which artist in his landmark 1992 album, The Chronic? The song with, it's a blank with blank blank became the start point of a landslide of diss tracks from both sides. He would later be CEO of music companies Death Row Records and Aftermath Entertainment, and is credited with launching Eminem.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre is correct. Andre Young. And your next question, Varun. This photo shows the progress made on which iconic landmark by 1887? It's used as a functional place of worship, even though construction continues, funded largely by donations. It's estimated to be finished by 2026, 100 years since the architect died in a tram accident. It's the image.
Sagrada Familia.
Sagrada Familia is correct. Takes Varun healthy lead at 10. Raghuveer, for Givenchy's autumn 1998 collection, Alexander McQueen drew inspiration from which 1982 sci-fi noir classic? It's particularly inspired by the character of Rachel Tyrrell, played by Sean Young, and several of his models wore makeup to resemble Rachel.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner is correct. Ridley Scott. Raghuveer, in which athletics event did India earn both gold and silver, with Eldos Paul and Abdullah Abu Bakr taking the top 2 spots? The world record and Commonwealth record for this event is held by Jonathan Edwards of Great Britain.
Triple jump.
Triple jump is correct. Wish I could give you triple the points. Rajiv. The first and last step of Krebs cycle ends up forming a 6-carbon compound, a citrate, that is commonly known as aldol condensation reaction. So what 2 organic compounds make up the compound word aldol? Or let me...
Aldehyde.
Okay, fine. Go on.
Add whatever you add.
No, I was just about to add that they're not necessarily specific compounds. I just say they're compound types.
That's fine. Aldehyde and alcohol.
Which is perfect. That's what I meant. So we don't need like formaldehyde or any such things. So aldehyde and alcohol leads to aldol. Perfect, Rajiv. Okay, what was the X of Y titled book that won the 1973 Booker? The second book of J.G. Farrell's Empire trilogy. It chronicles the siege of a fictional town during the Indian Rebellion of 1857.
Siege of Krishnapur.
Siege of Krishnapur is correct. Interestingly, the
I'm
first
Wish it
noticing.
had passed to me. I could have showed you this.
Oh, there you go. Brilliant, brilliant.
You have siege in the question here.
Yeah, same. I think it is followed through the squad. If I
Yeah.
only knew this, I knew this 1 point out of.
So the
Anyway,
first
you
book
got
of
the
the
point.
Empire trilogy was, of course, Troubles, which won the
Troubles, yeah.
Lost Booker 40 years after it was written.
Hmm.
Okay, halfway through and on to round 5. Venkat, shown here as it nears completion in 1965, which monument would gain 6 more feet in height when the final pieces were put in place over the next few days after this shot, bringing it to a grand total of 630 feet? Some sources consider it the tallest man-made monument in history. Seconds?
Baha'i temple.
Not the Baha'i temple. Passes to Raghuveer.
St. Louis Gateway Arch.
Perfect. Gateway Arch in St. Louis. Eurosaranan. Venkat. This is a self-portrait of which American artist celebrated for his contributions to New York City street culture? The artist is known for putting a pop art spin on graffiti, which is evident in this 1985 art.
Liechtenstein.
Not Roy Lichtenstein, although yeah, the dots kind of. No, Rajiv? I'll pass you.
Yeah.
Varun?
Keith Haring.
Keith Haring is absolutely right. And Varun, your 2 directs coming up. Which ethnic group of Sri Lanka was legally defined in 1883 by the Chief Justice of Ceylon as those whose father was born in Ceylon with at least one European ancestor on one's direct paternal side? Michael Ondaatje is perhaps the most well-known global face of this ethnic group, whose snacky name is actually derived from the Dutch word for castle.
Burgers.
Burgers is absolutely right. He's a Dutch burger. There are Portuguese burgers like Venkataraghavan de Silva as well. This has nothing to do with the Booker quad, although Ondaatje did win in 92 for the English patient. And Varun, your next question. This type of embroidered quilt found in the greater Mymensingh, Rajshahi, Faridpur and Jessore regions is called Nakshi blank. The exact origin of the second word is not accurately known, but it had a precursor in a word that means field in Hindi and Bengali. According to Niaz Zaman, the word could have originated from a Sanskrit word meaning rags, as it was originally made from them. So fill in the blank.
Pass.
Passing to Rajiv.
Pass.
Raghuveer
Pass.
and Venkat.
Pass.
Little bit of local knowledge from my part of the world required. This is called Katha. Katha originates in the word khet, meaning field, or possibly Pantha, meaning rags, right? So all of these are in Bangladesh, of course, Maimansingh, Rajshahi, and so on. Nakshi Katha. Raghuveer, your question. What name referencing another creature is given to these amphibians of the genus Lithobates? They get their common name because of the array of irregularly shaped dark spots that are on their backs and legs, which resemble those seen on another animal. Again, two-word name.
Leopard frog.
Yeah, that's all. Leopard frog is correct. Just see what it looks like, and that's it. Your next question. Vilgot Sherman's film Ingmar Bergman Makes a Movie is about the making of which 1963 film, which is often considered the second movie of his Faith trilogy alongside Through a Glass Darkly and The Silence. The English title is a metaphorical description of love or vitality while being distant from human life. Seconds?
Yeah. The Virgin Spring.
Not the Virgin Spring, is slightly earlier. Rajiv?
Pass.
Venkat?
Pass.
And the one person who should get this, Varun?
Us.
Oh dear. I think I made it too tough. This is Winter Light, right? Through a Glass Darkly, Winter Light, and The
Yeah,
Silence
I
are
heard it,
referred
but-
to as the
Yeah, the clue about
trilogy.
the love and all didn't make much sense. Okay.
It's Winter Light. So this is what Winter Light actually means, love and vitality, not a clue really. But okay, Rajiv, which godfather of gangsta rap put together an entire EP dedicated to his beef with Dr. Dre titled It's on Dr. Dre 187 Killa, whatever that is. The EP slighted Dre as a studio gangster in a deviation from the East versus West rivalry. This was a result of a beef among the past members of Compton-based group NWA, which included himself.
Ice Cube.
Not Ice Cube, Venkat,
Pass.
Raghuveer.
I'll pass.
Varun.
Easy.
What a god Varun Rajiv is.
Who's
This
this?
is Easy E, or
Easy
Eric
E.
Wright.
Take.
Brilliant. Very, very like easy for Varun there. And Rajiv, your next question. These are some dresses from Alexander McQueen's first fashion show, which were inspired by one of his favorite movies, which also happened to be the profession of his father. Which movie is this? Also the winner of the 1976 Palme d'Or. Seconds?
Pass.
Hey, Venkat?
A Clockwork Orange.
The Clockwork Orange. Raghuveer?
Taxi driver.
Taxi Driver is correct. Look at that hairdo over there in the image. That's Robert De Niro's Taxi Driver. Alexander McQueen's father was a London cabbie, I believe. Just give me a moment. Charge. Back. Yes, we're back on. All right. So good answer there by Raghuveer. Nice steal. Moves on to 9. And Venkat, your question coming up. 1993, which fatherly American rapper started the New York-based label Bad Boy Records in direct response to the Compton-based label Death Row Records' preference for local artists? Although he didn't perform any diss tracks during this rivalry, his 1997 debut album No Way Out was an ode to the loss of Biggie to the feud.
Papa John.
Papa John. Some pizza chain,
Pass.
Rajiv.
Pass.
Very quick pass by Rajiv. Raghuveer.
I need more time. I know this pass.
And Varun.
Daddy.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy or P. Diddy is absolutely correct. Varun Rajiv knows his fatherly rappers. Well done.
Daddy.
And Venkat. The eukaryote's Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix of which cellular organelle discovered by Albert von Kolliker in 1857. It is perhaps the only cellular organelle that is the subject of a meme originating from a phrase coined by biologist Philip Siekowitz in a Scientific American article from 1957.
Mitochondria.
Is the perfect answer. I hope one of you will educate me on what memes can be made of mitochondria. That's for another time. But on your first question, what name referencing another creature is given to these simians of the genus Ateles? They have long spindly limbs and a long prehensile tail that they use to grab or hold on to objects. Two-word name again.
Whose question?
Varun. 10 seconds.
Snake monkey.
Not snake monkey. On to Rajiv.
Pass.
Raghuveer.
Taking too many guesses. Pass.
Venkat.
Spider monkey.
Spider monkey is correct. Venkat, well done. This is the spider monkey. And Varun, your next question. Originally titled Lenore or the Triumph of Marital Love and premiering at the Theatre Under Wien in 1805, Fidelio is the solitary opera by which composer? Lends his initials to the ticker stock symbol for the Steinway Music Company.
Beethoven.
Big fan Beethoven is correct.
You had to have that. You had to have that image, is it? I mean, give me a break.
Could have done Beethoven freezes and stuff like that.
Seriously.
Okay, Raghuveer. What was the name of the 2002 Booker Prize winning book, which also had X of Y title? The India-born protagonist of the novel was named after a swimming pool and hotel complex in Paris's Porte de Molitor. Seconds?
I don't know. Inheritance of Loss.
Inheritance of Loss also fits the theme. That's 4 years later. Rajiv?
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi by Jan Martel is the answer. Nice steal there. Pi was short for Piscine, Piscine Molitor. Raghuveer? What term, a combination of two words meaning original people and sharing its etymology with the largest arboreal mammal on Earth from the same region, is used by the heterogeneous indigenous population and the oldest inhabitants of peninsular Malaysia? The country's Aboriginal Peoples Act provides them special status enshrined in law.
Orang Asli.
Perfect answer. Very, very nice. Orang Asli is correct. Asli being original and
Very nice.
Orang's forest, I think. Okay, Rajiv. Named after a colorful semi-nomadic tribe, this embroidery form incorporates coins, woolen tassels, cowrie shells, beads, mirrors, and others as embellishments. What is this eponymous tribe that the embroidery technique is named after? The name originates in the Sanskrit for trade, according to some, or in their forest roaming tendencies for others.
Gujjar.
Not Gujjar. Raghuveer?
Pass.
Venkat?
Pass.
And Varun?
Us.
Yeah, that's past all. This is, right, all of you familiar with the Banyara, which also one of the
That's it.
origins is Van,
Sure.
Yeah.
and
Okay, yeah.
Havana, Lambadi, and so on.
Ah, shit. One
Rajiv, your next question. Recently, which politician was named Sri Lanka's acting president after the ousting of Gotabaya Rajapaksa of the country's economic downfall? He served as PM of Sri Lanka in 5 separate stints, leading 6 governments from 93 to 94, 2001 to 4, 15 to 18, 18 to 19, and now
Vikramasinghe.
Ranil Wickramasinghe is correct. Okay. Venkat, next round, your first question. In which year was Woodrow Wilson sworn in as the 28th US president? It was the same year that Canberra became the official capital of Australia, and the Young Turks led a coup d'etat against the Turkish government. If you add a decimal after the first digit of the year, you get the cube root of 7 rounded to 3 decimal places. I'm hoping you'll get this from the first line.
Not really, yeah. 1902.
Not 1902, that's around the time. Anyway, Rajiv?
1919.
1919 was bad guess. That's when the League of Nations happened. Raghuveer?
1912.
Wish I could have given you. Varun?
1913.
Is
15, yeah.
correct.
13, is it?
1913 is correct. 1912 is when he won the elections, and 1913 is when he
okay.
got sworn in.
I went very
1.913
late, yeah. What am I doing?
7.
No, he wouldn't be sworn in. Okay, I see.
Yeah, the
Yeah, 1 year
inauguration
late.
wasn't 30. No? So
Yeah, that's
God
correct.
damn it.
Sure.
sorry about that. You're nearly there. Venkat, at which venue were all cricket games at the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games played? The India cricket team earned silver in the competition after losing the final to Australia, game they should have won.
Sheesh, I don't know this. Although I followed all the games. Trent Bridge.
And Bridge, Nottingham, Rajiv,
Pass.
Raghuveer, Varun?
Pastor.
Yeah, the one cricket ground we know
Headingley,
in
Headingley.
Birmingham is Edgbaston,
Edgbaston.
right?
That's
So
it?
that is
Okay.
where it was. Okay, Varun. Which city located on the shores of the White Nile became the capital in 2011, the world's youngest country? The city is unlikely to keep that status for too long, as the government has already announced that the capital will be moved to Ramciel.
Us.
Passing to Rajiv.
Cuba.
Juba is correct, the capital of South Sudan, which will soon be moved to Ramciel. The next question, Varun. This idea in theoretical physics implies that reality is made up of infinitesimal vibrating blanks, smaller than atoms, electrons, or quarks. For this theory, as the blanks vibrate, twist, and fold, they produce effects that humans interpret as everything from particle physics to large-scale phenomena like gravity. What two-word term is this that forms the title of David Foster Wallace's 2016 book that contains essays on lawn tennis?
String theory.
String theory is absolutely correct.
They wanted
Yeah.
a two-word term, right?
Yeah, two-word term.
String theory.
Oh, that's it. I see.
Raghuveer. High concentrations of NADH can inhibit the Krebs cycle. The N corresponds to a form of vitamin B3, alternatively called niacinamide, that is used as a supplement to treat pellagra. What naturally produced alkaloid, named after a French ambassador to Portugal, you see here, was this form of vitamin B3 first synthesized from?
Nicotine.
Is correct. This is nicotine, Jean-Nico. Niacin is the primary constituent. Raghuveer. A couple of weeks ago, India swore in its 15th president, Draupadi Murmu. Among the other Asians inducted in 2022 as leader of a country is which latest Pakistani prime minister who took office after Imran Khan was ousted for no confidence motion in April. His brother also held the PM post in Pakistan in the 2010s.
Bhutto.
Not Bhutto, Rajiv.
Sharif.
You want to give the full name?
I think it's some Arbaz Sharif or something. I don't know.
We don't need it. It's Shahbaz.
Yeah.
But Sharif gets you points. Fine. I was just messing around. Nawaz Sharif's brother, Shahbaz. Your questions coming up, Rajiv. This is a self-portrait of which artist known for creating the cover images for the Saturday Evening Post. February 1960, 44 years after the artist joined this magazine, it ran a biographical piece on him, for which The artist was commissioned to depict himself, and thus he created this clever and comical triple self-portrait.
Rockwell.
The great Norman Rockwell is absolutely correct. Rajiv, your next question. In which sport did the Indian quartet of Rupa Rani Tirke, Nayanmoni Saikia, Lovely Chaube, and Pinky Singh earn a gold medal for India? The objective of the sport is to come as close as you can to a jack or a kitty.
Lawn bowls.
On bowls is correct. Moving on now to the last round. Venkat, your questions. Based on the play of the same name by Alexander Pushkin and featuring the Tsar who reigned during the time of troubles, Boris Godunov is the only completed opera by which composer with a first name that was perhaps unfair to the wealth of his talent, at least in English?
Modest Mussorgsky.
Modest Mussorgsky is correct. Boris Godunov, your next question. Which city, dubbed the world's greatest open-air museum owing to its large temple complexes, is located on the banks of the White Nile? With a name that translates to palace in Arabic, the city is a huge tourist draw for visiting the Valley of the Kings and Queens. It shares its name with an Indian stationery company and a Las Vegas hotel.
Luxor.
Luxor of the obelisks.
Whatever little doubt I had between the two places there, the stationery company.
Stationery. It helped you erase those doubts, I'm sure. All right, Varun, chance to get to 20. The first of Bibi Anderson's many collaborations with Ingmar Bergman was in which 1955 comedy featuring couples who switch partners in the course of a night? The film inspired the Stephen Sondheim musical A Little Night Music, as well as Woody Allen's A Midsummer Night's sex comedy.
Smiles of a Summer Night.
Smiles of a Summer Night is absolutely correct, Varun. The last direct for this evening, Alexander McQueen appeared in his last fashion show titled Plato's Atlantis in 2010. In that show, he debuted these iconic shoes that were inspired by which film franchise? Lady Gaga wore these shoes in her video for Bad Romance, and she incidentally debuted the song Bad Romance at this fashion show's finale.
Alien?
Alien is absolutely correct, and Varun moves to 20. What a performance. Raghuveer, your two questions. The Philippines' unlikely love affair with basketball drove New York journalist Ralph Bartholomew to pen which book? This creative and funny book title references a totally unrelated film and both the country's location and the metal circle which a ball must pass through to score a point in the sport. Seconds?
I'll say Asian hoop.
Asian hoop, no, Venkat?
Pass.
Rajiv?
Pass.
Varun?
Pass.
Passing you as well. Well-known film called Pacific Rim.
Oh,
Metal circle and all of
that
that.
hoop,
is the
that
rim
hoop totally
of the
took me away.
hoop,
Yeah.
I was
Rim.
thinking hoop. Rim,
Yeah.
rim is not
Last
the circle.
question.
Rim is like,
The rim is correct. Rim is
I mean, it's not exactly.
yeah. Okay, silence.
In which year was George Washington born? If you get that from that first line, good enough. But if you don't, it was the same year Benjamin Franklin began publishing Poor Richard's Almanac. If you add a decimal after the first digit in the year, you get the rounded value of the principal square root of 3. That's also known as Theodorus' constant, since Theodorus of Cyrene proved its irrationality.
1732.
Brilliant. 1732 is when Washington was
They,
born.
you ask square roots for everybody and ask me cube root of 7. Give me a break.
You are Ingit, sir.
Please.
Yeah, you're Ingit, sir, sitting at Rajyog with a few drinks.
And 1.414 are like so obvious, yeah. Fuck. Anyway.
All right, last two questions of the evening, and let's see if Rajiv can seal his second place. Which icon of London's Trafalgar Square is seen here as a work in progress in the early 1840s? Clicked by William Talbot, it may look like a shot of work being actively completed, but in reality, all work was halted at this stage due to a funding crunch. The 4 bronze lions around the structure's base, designed by Sir Edwin Landseer, were added much later.
Nelson's column.
Nelson's column is correct. And the last question for the evening, coming your way, Rajiv. One of the darkest films in the Ingmar Bergman pantheon, which 1960 film that won him the first of his 3 best foreign film Oscars, has a seasonal word included in its title because the word here describes the water that gushes out from the spot where a murdered girl's head lies at the end of the film. Sorry for the spoiler.
Death Spring.
Death Spring, Venkat.
Pass.
Okay, I know Raghuveer will get this.
This is Virgin Spring.
This is Virgin Spring, absolutely.
Aiyo.
So Virgin Spring, Smiles of a Summer Night,
Nice,
Autumn
nice quad.
Sonata,
Lovely
and
quad.
Winter Light are the
Lovely.
4 seasons in the films of Ingmar Bergman. And with that, Varun
Nice.
wins with 20, Rajiv is
Declared,
second
declared.
with 14, Raghuveer with 13, and Venkat with 8. We had only 9 extras, so 55 questions answered. Very well done.
This is the worst I have ever played in my life to get a win. Terrible.
Yeah, that's Rajiv dissing his opponents indirectly. In case
No.
Raghuveer
I'm
and
just saying
Venkat didn't get that.
Raghuveer was just too generous with his life of pi and one more question. So.
All right. So great. Thanks all for playing and good luck
Thanks,
for
thanks
the
for
rest of
reading,
the
DG.
tournament.
Good game, guys.
See you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, man.